I came across an article just before the show started on NBC Sports Edge by Patrick Doherty ranking the NFL general managers. And I thought that's a great topic. What a wonderful topic. Where is John Lynch ranked? First of all, where do you think he's ranked? Where do you think?
You told us, but
no.
I would say top 10.
Okay, so he's ranked 11th. I thought that was very interesting. I'm going to say what he wrote, Mr. Doherty. And then I'm going to ask you if you think this is the right ranking, too high or too low. Here's what he wrote. As is the case with most hotshot coaches, it can be hard to tell where Kyle Shanahan ends and his general manager begins. Handpicked by Shanahan, we know it's not John Lynch making the final call on matters of receiving and quarterbacking. It might not even be Lynch on defense, where he was a Hall of Fame player. It is Lynch's job to accommodate his coach. He has done so as the duo has slapped together a championship caliber defensive core. It is on Shanahan's side of the ball where the front office has floundered, putting too many eggs in the Jimmy Garoppolo basket while failing to find enduring solutions in the backfield or receiving core. Injuries have played a part, especially at wideout. Deebo Samuel could still end up forming one of the league's best 1-2 punches with Brandon Ayuk as George Kittle dominates the seam. The Garoppolo matter has also been settled with Shanny's biggest bet, Trey Lance. Lance's lone appearance since the end of the 2019 season was an October 2020 exhibition against Central Arkansas, whereas Garoppolo was a safe bet that failed Lance's swing for the fences. A front office partnership that has thus far gotten by on alibis and one 13-3 campaign is officially on the spot. If Lance fails, Shanahan and his personal chef, general manager, may no longer be allowed to pick the ingredients. What do you think? Too high, too low, buy or sell the ranking of 11 for John Lynch? And I can give you more information if you want it, like who's above him, who's below him. Let me know what you need.
Well, just checking the list, I found it on Google, and just John Schneider being ahead of John Lynch is an interesting one, just based on how the Seahawks
Real quick,
drafted.
I'll do the top 10. Bill Belichick 1, Kevin Colbert, Pittsburgh Steelers 2, Andy Reid, Brett Veach, Kansas City Chiefs 3, Mickey Loomis, Sean Payton, New Orleans Saints 4, Brandon Beane, Buffalo Bills 5, Chris Ballard, Indianapolis Colts 6, Rick Spielman, Minnesota Vikings 7, Les Snead, Rams 8, John Schneider, Seahawks 9.
It's an interesting list. Basically, once you get outside the top 7, it's pretty much a push, I think. But Lynch being ahead of Tampa Bay's Jason Licht, I thought was an interesting one, just based on how Tampa Bay built their whole roster.
Yeah, he's 12.
Yeah.
Lynch is 11. The guy who just won the Super Bowl is 12. That was my first head scratcher. I would have to put Licht ahead of Lynch. I mean, Licht had some bad years, but the problem with Tampa in retrospect was Jameis Winston. They had a good team. They had a lot of good players. And you took out Jameis Winston and put in a 43-year-old Tom Brady, really good team. And it wasn't just Brady. It was Antoine Winfield, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Jason Pierre-Paul, Shaq Barrett. I mean, Devin, it's a really good team. So, but you were saying the Seahawks are kind of a crappy team that has that they basically had 2 good draft picks 10 years ago that's popping this team up, Bobby Wagner and Russell Wilson.
I think the Seahawks had a little bit more than that. I mean, they had Richard Sherman, they had Cam Chancellor.
I'm just saying now, in terms of like what they have now.
I think they're in salary cap trouble now,
Yes.
and that, you know, is on the GM. So I think that really should knock him down a little bit. Same thing with the Rams. I mean, their depth is just non-existent because they went out and made all these flashy signings. They have zero depth. They're just paying way too many people, way too much money. A very top-heavy team, so I think that he can maybe be bumped down a little bit, the Rams GM. But I think, you can't really argue for John Lynch to be a lot higher, I think, than what he's at. I think it's a fair ranking. We've only had 1 winning season in his tenure, so you have to own that. I always say that about Kyle Shanahan. He has to own that. He only has 1 winning season in his tenure. So a lot of people give, Kyle Shanahan a pass. They don't give John Lynch the same pass. So I think, it's a fair ranking for him and for Kyle Shanahan, honestly.
10 is John Robinson, by the way, in Tennessee, who has done a good job recently. Another one that I would say is a good one. He's only had 1 year, but Andrew Berry in Cleveland, I think so far is pretty good. But he's young and he's only done it for 1 year. I thought John Lynch would be lower, but I don't know. What do you think, Waruna? Is it fair?
I will put him in the top 10.
You would?
Here
Okay. Okay.
Yes, yes. So my reasons are this. Now, when John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan took over, this organization was at rock bottom, right? I mean, they were going nowhere. Even Jed Doak, I don't think he had any idea what to do next. So their record doesn't speak for it, yes. But right now, we all know that they have created a culture, a very sustainable, healthy environment. That's why all these players, Fred Warner, even without a contract, he came out to training camps, right? I mean, just voluntarily. So all these players, they believe in this team, right? All the NFL, the media, everyone is excited about 49ers. We can say whether 49ers are overrated or not during this season, but everyone has very high hopes about 49ers, given, bearing the injuries. If not, they all know this is a team with a potential. This is a squad which has very star level players and even other players who can lift up their game from being average players to the next level. So all this hard work, the credit should go to John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan. So that's why I think even though they don't still have a winning record over 500, it's a remarkable job given the situation that we were in. But they have done some costly mistakes as well. 2017 draft, that's a very costly miss. But still, I think he should be in top 10.
I think it's tough to rank a guy with one winning season top 10, but they do it with Kyle Shanahan too, so I guess it's consistent. It's interesting they put Steve Keim with the Cardinals at 21. I think that roster is good, but he did hire Cliff Kingsbury, so that's on him. I do think
to say that.
It made me laugh.
Chargers with
Telesco?
Yeah, taking Herbert. I know
they have him at 15.
Yeah, taking Herbert and then protecting him with Rashawn Slater this year. I think the Chargers have had a good couple drafts that could change after this year.
They rank Lynch ahead of Eric DeCosta from the Ravens. That's serious. Can you guess who's 31 out of 32?
Well, is it like a guy that's a new GM?
No, Houston Texans.
New-ish. He's been around the block. Got a new
Trent
spot.
Baalke?
Yeah. Trent Baalke's 31. George Patton with the Broncos is 32. I don't know what George Patton has done, but Trent Baalke 31 sounds pretty good to me. Anyway,
there's
11.
two things, Grant, really quick on John Lynch. So I think there's two things he has working against him that really need to be taken into account. One is the injuries on this roster. Like, everybody wants to talk about that being an excuse of why we underperform. We consistently have built rosters with injured players. Yes. Injury-prone players, we consistently build the roster. That's whoever's making the personnel decisions' fault. You can say that's either John Lynch, that's Kyle Shanahan. That's their fault. They keep getting these players. They keep banking on these players. These players keep getting injured. That you have to take accountability for that at some point when it's happened so many times. So that's one strike that I think can lower John Lynch down the list. And the second thing is, I think he kind of gives in too much to Kyle Shanahan. At some point, I think he needs to stand up. We thought we had seen it this offseason when he stood up finally and he said no to Mac Jones on the quarterback situation. We kind of think that may have been a different conversation that went on with Kyle Shanahan. But I think he's kind of just rolled over and let Kyle Shanahan do whatever he wants. And you have to have that separation of power. You have to have those two competing viewpoints in the room to really drive, excellence and competition. You can't just give in to Kyle Shanahan all the time. So I think that's another knock that maybe he needs to step up his leadership a little bit and just say, hey, look, this is my job. This is what I'm here to do. Kyle, I'm going to have to overrule you, every now and then.